next step in this process is going to be to taper the fretboard. So what I'm doing here, I'm putting down some masking tape, because the masking tape is a much better surface to draw on. I can actually see the pencil marks. All right, at the nut side, it needs to be 1.5 inches. So to account for the binding, I'm going to make it a little less than 1.5 inches. So 1/2 inches is 3/4. So what I will do, I have the binding on there I'm going to put on here, so I'm going to subtract the 1/16 of an inch. The binding will get sanded down a little bit, but I'm going to subtract the 1/16 inch from each side. So 1/2 inches is 3/4. So I go 3/4 and then subtract that 1/16, and I do that on both sides. 3/4, subtract the 1/16, and on this side, at the last fret, I want it to be 2.5 inches. So what I need to do is draw a little tick where the last fret is, then measure across here. 1/2 of 2.5 inches is 1 1/4, and then I'm going to subtract the 1/16 from each side on that as well. All right, now I just have to draw the taper. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm ready to cut the taper on the fretboard. This is my taper cutting jig, and you see I've got the fretboard mounted here on the thing. What I do is before I do this, and I've already done it, but I run it through the saw and shave off just a tiny bit off the back side here. And then I know that my fence is set to exactly the same width as the jig. Now I've mounted the fretboard on there, and I'm going to run that through and cut this off. Then I'm going to flip the fretboard around to the other side and do the same thing, run it through and cut that off. So let's get to it. Alright, a tapered fretboard. Now the next step will be to put the binding on it, and I'll be back when I'm ready to do that. Alrighty, we're ready to start gluing the binding onto the fretboard. And so what we'll do here is glue up the binding side. I don't like to put glue on the fretboard because what happens is if you do that, you're going to get glue up inside the fret slots, which is never a good idea. So basically, what I do is I put it on the binding and just put a nice even spread of it there. Doesn't need to be too thick, but I certainly want it thick enough to actually have glue on it. just like that. Then I'll take the fretboard, kind of lay it in the middle. This will get trimmed off. Then I'll take my clamps and start working them on there. I kind of position the clamp so that it falls pretty much dead center of the thing. This is a little tricky, but it's not bad. Binding out of my way here. Apply just enough pressure to kind of hold it in place, and then you can run the rest of the clamps down along it. And then you can start tightening them. You can be pretty sure that you're not going to get the thing to flop over on you. You just have to kind of keep your eye on it and make sure that's not what it's doing. And just keep doing it until you run out of clamps, or you run out of places to put the clamps. I will be back for the next process. Okay, well, the glue dried on the first strip of banding I put on the fretboard. What I'm going to do now is trim that down pretty close to its finished size, where it's as close as I can get it for right now, and right up to the fretboard before I glue the other strip on. It's just a lot easier to trim these down when they're separate. What I'm going to do is knock these ends off. Actually, this end is going to come off on the table saw after a little bit when they're both on there. But this end I want to knock off individually. I'm going to take it off right now. And then I'm going to take this into the where my bandsaw is and remove the bulk of this on the bandsaw. See, it's on both sides. Remove the bulk of it on the bandsaw, and then shave the rest of it down using my one of my planes. So I'm going to get to that right now. get a close look at this. I got the banding on one side. Now I'm going to put the banding on the other side. I'm not going to bother showing you that because the process is exactly the same, but I will be back and show you what the entire thing looks like when I have it done. Thanks for watching.